into a new video. Alright, so you guys, I literally am going to have to like grab a literal freaking like mic to help with the audio issues. Like sounds in the background, including like animals and insects. They're kind of like picked up a lot and they kind of like cut into the audio feed. And then I learned while making the first video for this channel that me kind of like moving my hair a lot often kind of interfered with the mic also, and it kind of like led to like that kind of like cutout where it's like, you know, focusing on that sound rather than me actually speaking. So I'm going to kind of like work through it a tad bit and have to add a freaking like mic to my list of essentials to grab. Covering divorce and separations, and I also have a section set towards legal separations also to add in the added freaking additional knowledge freaking basis. This one was actually extremely fun. I was literally in the midst of finding new groups to join on Facebook, and I got was accepted to join when I was initially going for like family law, and it was a divorce and family law group, and I was like, oh my freaking gosh, while picking all of the freaking topics, I forgot to literally set a topic to cover divorce, and I was like, ooh, divorce will be a freaking saucy one because we can cover divorce and legal separations and the parameters of everything that may fall in between and the extensive process and regulations that go hand in hand while working through the process. And I was like, this is also one that can be extremely helpful to a lot of people. Piled a freaking note section that is like 7 pages long, you guys. So this one may be a bit of a lengthy video, but with any luck, we may be able to breeze through it. As stated before in the last video, I was able to kind of set all the information within a guided sequence so that I can literally read through most of it and give you guys all the facts and then do brief overviews throughout to kind of touch base on subjects that we are all aware of, but that can also kind of require a tad bit of clarification. And then for a lot of sections also, I created sub-note sections that are tied in with the additional notes that I had beforehand that kind of like tie it together a bit more and provide more information. Covering the major basis of divorce within California for my local residents. The term for divorce is dissolution of marriage or dissolution of a domestic partnership. The term dissolution is used to describe the equitable nature of a modern divorce which ends the legal bonds of a marriage or domestic partnership. A few key aspects of the law of divorce and dissolution in California. California is a no-fault divorce state, stating where spouse can request a dissolution without having to prove that the other spouse did anything wrong. The only requirement is to state that the couple cannot get along. So if there are any conflicts within the relationship, if there are any major snags that literally just cause that discomfort when you're within your relationship, you guys are like already living separate lives and you kind of wish to sever ties, you can file for a dissolution of your marriage. Parameters of irreconcilable differences. To file for a divorce in California, you must have lived in the state for at least 6 months prior to filing for a divorce. Filing for divorce, you must file for divorce within the county in which you were married within. And there are a bunch of parameters that'll kind of like fall into like tie together with that later. So that's why I kind of like had to mention it there. But it was really interesting doing the research on this subject to kind of like learn a lot of great details pertaining towards that. For divorce, and the other spouse cannot stop the process by refusing to participate. It may result in a default judgment for the spouse who filed, meaning let's the alternate partner within the divorce filings must be present for the entire process. You have to reply to summons, you must reply to any notion that pertains towards the development of the case has to call for both hands on deck. You cannot kind of just be like, well, I can't believe you just filed for divorce. Well, I'm not doing this, and if I don't take part in this, then it can't move forward. This is a state in which the proceedings will land you in a bunch of hot water. It defaults on every aspect of the divorce, meaning this is kind of like touch base upon a tad later also, but I'll just add like a brief little bit of it. It can lead to your assets being seized or broken down between you and your partner in a way that a judge will decide upon, where you kind of will have no say. Your say is defaulted over to the rights of the court to be granted overall, but the overall like judgment and set basis for legal teams is to create a fair for both partners. If the party cannot reach an agreement, the court will make decisions about how to divide property, debts, and child support plans. If the total value of the couple's property and combined income is less than $53,000, they may qualify for summary dissolution. A summary dissolution is an easier way to get divorced or any domestic partnership. It's less expensive and there's not as much paperwork, as the standard divorce process consists of a lot of paperwork, a lot of forms that must be filed, and a lot of notions that must be kind of handled by both parties throughout the process. So it's very extensive. It requires a lot of hands-on freaking approaches, both being mindful and setting like designated time periods, adhering to your court freaking dates, and having your lawyers ready for a lot of freaking snippets, especially if it's kind of one of those messy dissolutions. Not everyone can use this process, however. For summary dissolutions in general, it's only for couples who have been married for less than 5 years, have no children together, own or owe relatively little, do not want spousal support, or agree on how to split any property. To use this process, all of these must be true. Each statement, each factor must be true. And if you fail to meet any of those requirements, say you've been married for 5 years, or you have one child, or you have assets that total $2,000, say you want spousal support such as alimony, or say you don't agree on how to split any of the property, you apply for a summary dissolution, and you will have to go through the typical standards of residency requirement. For married couples or domestic partnerships not registered in California, one of you must have lived in California for at least 6 months, or, what should I say, and in the county where you filed for summary dissolution for at least 3 months. So, at least one member of the partnership must have lived in California for a set standard of 6 months. And in filing for a summary dissolution, you must have lived in the county for at least 3 months prior to filing for dissolution. Registered in California. Now, the standard is set. You do not need to meet the residency requirement. You can end your partnership in California even if neither of you lives in California still. Same-sex couples who got married in California but now live somewhere that will not end their marriage can file for divorce in California still. You must file in the county where you were married, however. So, in filing for a dissolution of your marriage, you must file for the dissolution in the county in which you were married. And that was the statement that I made a tad earlier that I said we reference towards in just a you will need to start the process over again and pay the filing fees again. And as stated, there's a lot of paperwork that must be filled out, that must be submitted. There are a lot of fees that are applicable to each part within the process. So, in deciding to end a divorce case, or should I say dissolution case, you kind of will literally have to like kind of bite the bullet on that. So if you come to an agreement with your partner to end the dissolution proceedings and then the get together or reunion moment still doesn't follow through as planned and then you choose to want to continue with the dissolution, and in doing so, the attempt at continuation will be more so as a restart on the entire process. Economic quality of life on couples going through dissolutions. Ultimately, the overall economic quality of a man's life based on earnings and amounts spent on living expenses increases after his divorce. He continues to earn more but bears fewer family expenses. The overall economic quality of a woman's life post divorce decreases, however. So, the overall economic quality of a man's life is to kind of be geared towards prevailing, their life, or you kind of get your life back. You can either be this single partner who's like, I didn't have any children with my partner, or the freaking dad who pays child support. But overall, that is kind of weighed less in comparison to the mother who typically plans to retain the custody of the child. She now must set her life to be geared towards the family aspect of the life still. Although she doesn't have her partner still, the responsibilities of raising the family and the children still falls upon her. So she has the day-to-day expenses of caring for herself and a child, and then in doing so, there are still the added living expenses that are required to live, and you have to prove that you are going to create a stable environment for said child. So in doing so, falling within the parameters of that sets their freaking life standard. Just let's say their rent is like a month, and then to like around like $400. We're at $1,700 so far, and those are just like the essential freaking bills. So we can like drop down to like the lowest level. It's just a total like 400, so we can ballpark it. And then you have food throughout the month. Let's say food totals to like around like $500. Let's see, that's 1,700. Add in the three, and then we'll bring it up to 2,000. Add in the two, then we're at 2,200. And then let's see, random essentials that your child may need. Let's throw in 150. So we're at $2,350 so far, and that's just covering, the cost of living, the cost of food, and the cost of random essentials that your child may need. And in doing so, there's still the added parameter of emergencies that may take place. And in doing so, you have to set savings accounts for those, and that is still included in the budgetary constraints of the savings portion of your funds. And that's just for the mother. For the father, let's say your living expenses total to, let's say you get a studio apartment after the divorce, and you're like, I'm not gonna overdo it. I'm gonna freaking save some money. I'm gonna freaking just go back to literally living like my freaking like best life after. And I literally just want to grab a studio apartment, kick back and relax. Occasionally like meet up with my friends again. But I don't have to really overdo it. I can just grab a studio. We can hang out in my freaking like living room. Should I say like the freaking like the main living space, and literally just have a great time. And in doing so, it's like, well, they've cut down their expenses from, let's say, around like 2,000 a month for the freaking rent that they were working towards with their partner to like $900 a freaking month. And then bills total to, we'll still add in like the $400 just in case. So we're at, that's $1,300, and then food we'll throw in around like maybe like 200, no, like $300. So we're at $1,500, I believe, so far. And then the only other essentials that you can really add in after that are just freaking necessities that you may choose to freaking like throw within your daily life, and in doing so that's kind of just adding something in there that, like, it doesn't fall within the parameter of like required freaking expenditures. It's personal expenditures after that. So the mother is paying a minimal amount of $2,500, and the father is paying a minimal amount of $1,500. As you can see, there's already a freaking $1,000 freaking difference within how much their freaking daily, or should I say monthly expenditures are set. And then if you add in child support, let's see, depending on how much the father makes, it can be set anywhere between a few $100s to a few grand. So let's say for this scenario, the father's freaking ballpark amount for child support is set at like $500 or so. He doesn't like make like a super freaking like high amount, but the agreed upon amount was set to be something that would help with the cost of covering either bills, food, or the cost of living within the mother's home environment, or just expenditure for the child overall. So let's say the father is now at $2,000. The mother is still set to still set around like $2,500. The $500 now that she receives from the father now freaking brings down her living expenses to $2,000. Now they are spending the exact same amount each month for expenditure, but the overall additional cushion, that $500, can be set within any of the categories required because it is set to preserve the life of not only the mother or the parent who has the child, but also the child also. So a lot have stated that most men, as they do not retain custody after dissolution cases, they tend to kind of retain that added aspect of, I'm getting my life back. And for most women, it is the new aspect of you are the family mom, and so you are tasked with not only attempting to retain the final semblances of your life, but you are now starting a version of your life where you are a breadwinner for your child, and you are literally working to create stability within your own life for you and your child. So it kind of can build a lot of people up towards that point of, this is something that I was waiting for. And then for others, it kind of it sets a standard for where their mindset must be geared towards to prevail themselves and their children forward. Now, this next statement kind of just stated as the question that's presented. Is there a way to be truly fair? A difficulty in reforming marital property laws to compensate these women lies in the fact that many women, even in today's modern world, make career decisions based almost entirely on their family plans. A college professor who might have become a successful businesswoman, had her family plans been different, has no way to show a court her lost earning potential. So she has no way to literally prove to them, I could have done a lot if I didn't freaking feel as though me and my partner had this freaking set plan to literally live this super awesome ideal life, and I passed on a lot of opportunities to literally focus on being a mom, and I could have gone for a freaking like 9 to 5 that literally paid me like freaking $40 a day, and I chose to stick to my freaking 9 to 4, well, 9 to 3. That's occasionally like a 9 to 4 if I have to pop in for an extra day. That's paying me like 20 freaking $5 an hour. I missed out on freaking earning an extra freaking $15 an hour, which totals to around like a freaking and missing grand each freaking paycheck. And I could have literally have been making a killing, but I was sold this freaking perception of this dream life that me and my partner would both share, and it turned into something where I literally just shared that freaking dream with myself and my children, but the dream aspect was lost upon my partner. Take a lower paying job cannot be weighed by the court. There is no way to prove that the added freaking aspirations in which you had prior to starting a family with your partner, or prior to your relationship becoming your based off of how things had taken place, especially with the time constraints that set the standard for how you lived during the time period. Since there is no real evidence of material economic damage, there's that standard of we can't prove it. We understand there's a feeling of loss within the constraints of your relationship. However, we can't technically pull up a magical screen that will prove to us that you've lost out on anything or that your life could have been different. We don't have a freaking, and this is for my Futurama lovers out there, it's like one of my favorite series. We don't have a what if machine. We can't pull out the what if machine and then prove that you freaking lost out on something. All we can do is work with what we have, and working with what we have includes the evidence that you will be presenting throughout the case. Connect. The objective the objective of a divorce court is to give each party what he or she fairly deserves based on their earnings during marriage. It is next to impossible to factor the broad social pressures that shape women's career decisions into a given divorce settlement. So the objective is to set a fair amount for both parties within the dissolution case. But it's nearly impossible to factor the social pressures that shape your career decisions, as well as the other statement made prior where the businesswoman could have stated that she lost out on a lot of opportunities. There's no real way to show that the pressures of your relationship and that your choices have really altered what could have taken place in your life due to the choices that were made. But what we can do is work with what we are provided with to ensure that you are entitled to what you deserve. Find a way to assess the lost earning power of the female spouse or women as a collective must find a way to have their families and make honest career decisions too. So you have to literally focus upon not just the ideal dream that you and your partner have come up with, but you must also always plan for living that ideal life that you always wanted for yourself. If you have career aspirations and you want to follow them, you have to remember we only live freaking once. Go for it. Follow your freaking dreams and hold your family close to you because they're going to be with you along the freaking entire ride. Give your children something to look up to. Give your children a freaking mother that's freaking driven towards freaking being awesome. So when they say, what does your mom do and what aspect of your mom makes her so freaking awesome? And it's like, my mom has always been awesome. She's always been somebody that I can look up to because when she sets her mind towards something, she does it, and she does it with ease because it's something that her heart is on. Set that mindset for not only you but for your children. Going to go through these steps in the divorce. I'm literally going to read through this because there are like 5 major steps to go through and they're extensive. They're like literally like a paragraph and a half each, and then I added sub notes to freaking add to the breakdown. So it'll probably take me, we're at 23 minutes so far. This will probably take me to like the 30-minute point. So, and that's if I literally just read through the entire thing. Selecting a divorce attorney. You'll want to select a reputable divorce attorney in your area. Most states have specific laws when it comes to divorce and custody cases. So finding a local lawyer who practices in your area is crucial, as they will know the ins and outs and how to approach your situation. Also, you'll want to find a lawyer based on testimonials from previous clients in cases similar to yours, as well as location. Find a reputable professional and compassionate attorney. Finding a reputable, not find. Finding a reputable professional and compassionate attorney is key here, and you'll need to set up a consultation to get a sense of how they'll approach your case and the overall compatibility level. Step 2, determine grounds for divorce. And in this section, I literally had to do a tad more research to make sure that I can give you good breakdowns for grounds for divorce and dissolutions. But I'd say that in California we are in a no fault state, so in proving or irreconcilable differences, you don't have to literally go through the grounds for divorce, but for a lot of states, you must prove a ground and reasoning for said divorce. Steps. You'll begin to see why selecting an attorney is the first thing to do when separating. After all, an experienced lawyer will be able to help with most of the remaining steps. That includes determining grounds for divorce and how to proceed. So, a lawyer will be able to assist you with this process and help you determine what ethical grounds of divorce would support your case. File a divorce petition, prepare a settlement agreement, or begin negotiations depending on your case. You are set at throughout your case. This include adultery when one parent has voluntarily has yeah when one parent has voluntarily sexual has voluntary I was like, when one parent has voluntary sexual activity with someone other than their spouse. Desertion when one spouse leaves the marital home without the other's consent and with no justifiable reason. Abuse when one spouse is abusive to the other, either verbally, physically, sexually, emotionally, or economically. Separation when a couple has legally separated or agreed to end their cohabitation and have been separated for at least 1 year. Felony when a spouse is convicted of a felony, especially if they have been violent or convicted of a sex offense. Other grounds for divorce include bigamy, mental incapacity at the time of marriage, marriage between close relatives, impotence at the time of marriage, force or fraud in obtaining the marriage, criminal conviction and or imprisonment, drug or alcohol addiction, and mental illness. You should check your state laws to be sure, but you'll usually need to provide proof of misconduct during court proceedings. Step 3. Understanding state laws. This step is more crucial than it may initially seem. Each state has specific laws and processes when it comes to divorce and separation. Understanding them early on will set you up for less stress in the long run, as you'll be able to coordinate the legal process smoothly. For example, states can differ in terms of residency requirements, grounds for divorce, property distribution, and more. Most places require a person to have lived in a state or county for a certain time before filing, but the time periods can often differ based on location. Also, state laws can affect how property is divided as well as custody arrangements and spousal support. It's best to understand these rules before starting the planning process. Step 4. Financial assessment, and in this one I added in a few extra key details, kind of like help with the financial assessment portion as well as reflect upon other sections that I had read through that pertain towards financial assessments also. Step 4. Financial assessments. Once you understand the state rules and have the initial steps completed, a divorce attorney will undergo a financial assessment. You can expedite this process by having financial records like bank statements, credit card statements, loan documents, vehicle registration, property documents, or any existing prenuptial agreements ready for review. This can be a long and tedious process, so getting organized from the beginning is a crucial step that will save you time and stress down the road. Essential documents for legal separation or divorce. We touched on this in the financial assessment section above, and having certain documents ready for review will help expedite the legal process while saving you time and stress. Here are a few items that you can bring that will assist in building the case for both you and cases in which you are representing yourself, and in cases in which you have a lawyer, this will strengthen your case and provide your lawyer with all the crucial details and information required to help with financial assessments. Tax return statements, collect and keep all of your tax returns. It is always crucial to do so. You can have digital copies that are ready to be printed out. You can have hard copies that are always on file. Always hold on to those. You never know when you need those, and in cases in which you are married and there is even a chance that anything could ever freaking possibly happen. Rather, if you guys decide to freaking do something together where it's like required later down the road, or whether you are literally like at that point where you're already ready to freaking like start planning for a freaking dissolution or divorce, it's crucial to have the information required to do so, to back your overall need for the financial assessment portion. As stated before, bank statements, credit card statements, a list of your assets, a list of debts, personal identification documents, so have copies of your ID, your passport, and your social security card. Real estate property, commercial property, your partner, cars, stock ownership, anything that will be listed as like your assets that you own, and then for titles to anything such as real estate property, cars, and anything else that you may have a legal title of ownership towards, or that you and your partner may share as a aspect of your combined efforts through your partnership, and a list of appraisals. Outlining which assets and debts are shared via as individual ahead of time is another helpful step that will help move your case along. A divorce attorney can provide more specifics on how to do this and which additional documents are needed for review. Step 5. Nurture your well-being. It's the first thing to do when separating, but it's actually a step that should exist alongside all of the previous. Throughout the entire process, you must nurture your own mental well-being to keeping yourself stable in this time. It is a trying time where even if you are mad going through the proceedings, it's forward throughout. In cases where it's something that makes you feel sad or depressed, nurture your own mental well-being. Take some R&R time. Do a lot of your favorite things throughout the process. I am an art lover, so I love to literally like work on drawings and painting, even when I'm not stressed. To literally work towards maintaining that composure and overall sense of zen throughout my freaking day. So in doing so, I would advise for others to find what your comfort factors are. So when you ever end up in a situation where you are kind of faced with, addressing the feelings that may be overwhelming for you during a time period, it's great to reflect upon your happy factors throughout your life, your happy things that you love to do, your happy places, and things that are tangible and things that are within a distance that you can literally find your zen space. That way you don't get overwhelmed. And in cases where you freaking may need a tad bit of freaking assistance from somebody that you need to listen to outside of your lawyer, it's great to always use platforms such as BetterHelp to speak to someone and get some freaking guidance, get some clarity, and also keep it within the legal parameters of not making it messy throughout your case. Separation and divorce can take an emotional and mental toll. Having a strong support system and or considering counseling can help you process emotions and the decisions ahead. Some find support groups beneficial too, so working with other people that have gone through similar situations often helps with getting through the entire freaking divorce and dissolution process. And you get to meet a lot of people that have gone through something and gone through something similar to your case that can provide insight, advice, and that can also be your support system as you go through the process. Preferences on this front, but making sure you are taking care of your well-being is paramount. A court-ordered process that allows a married couple or domestic partnership to live apart while remaining legally married. The court divides property and debts. The court makes orders about financial support, such as spousal or domestic partner support. If there are children, the court makes orders about their care and support, such as custody and visitation rights. A legal separation can be a good option for people who want to stay married for religious reasons or to keep medical insurance benefits for their partner. It can also be a good option if someone doesn't meet the residency requirements to file a divorce. After meeting the residency requirements, the legal separation can be amended to a divorce. In California, you can file a legal separation without residency requirements. However, if you want to file a legal separation in California, you should meet residency requirements, seek the help of an attorney, use the following formats to start the case. Now, for this one, I literally had to go do some insight on each of them because it provided like each of the forms, and I was like, okay, in doing this one, I'm gonna have to literally make sure that I like provide the details for each. That way, I'm not telling you, go check out the form 100105 or 1110, and I was like, you guys you're gonna have to know what the forms entail and why they are required for the process. So, FL-100 for the petition. The petition such marriage, domestic partnership, family law. FL-110 start a divorce, legal separation, or annulment case if you are married, registered domestic partners, or both. This identifies all the issues you may include in a judgment. Will be your initial petition that you will file for. To inform the other party about certain actions. Tells your spouse or domestic partner that a court case has started, your rights and responsibilities, and what can happen if a response is not filed within 30 business days. Well, I'm honestly just going to say within 30 days because it isn't stated as only 30 business days. So within 30 days of being informed, if you do not respond to an FL-110 notion, I literally had to do further research into this to literally add it in there. Okay, yeah, here we go. This is the added section where I was like, let me see what actually happens if you don't respond to it within 30 days. That way I can provide insight towards that also. If you do not respond to a petition and summons FL-110 in California within 30 days, your spouse can ask the courts to enter a default judgment, which means that the court can decide the case without you. The court can end your relationship. The court can make orders about your property, make orders pertaining towards the custody of your children, can order you to pay child support or attorney fees also. And then I thought there was going to be one more, so I had to literally add in the also to conclude the sentence. The FL-110 is a mandatory form that serves as a notice to your spouse that you have filed for divorce. It also includes standard family law restraining orders, ATROs, that are effective until the petition is dismissed or the court makes further orders. FL-105 to file a declaration under the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act. Declaration under Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act, UCCJEA. The court important information about the children you have with your spouse or domestic partner. The court considers this information before making child custody and visitation orders. The length of the legal separation process can vary depending on the state and the complexity of the agreement, but it typically takes around 6 months to a year. And we're nearly at the end of it, guys. Ew, we're only at the 40-minute point. That actually was not bad. We got through that in let's say maybe 14 minutes or so. I was actually expecting it to be done in 10, but the added notes section really helped to kind of tie everything together, so I'm glad it was added in there. And then we were still able to get it done in less than 40 minutes. In California is between $435 and $450. Both divorce and legal separation have similar filing. Courts in California allow separating spouses to discuss important terms of separation, child custody, alimony, property division, and other essentials that may be included. Just like divorce issues, individuals who cannot afford the filing fee can request a fee waiver in a court of law. Alright, cheers. One freaking sec. I literally have like my freaking like drink in the background, and I literally have to take a sip of it. I am like, this is like my second video today too. So one sec. The expense of hiring a family attorney for legal separation is similar to a divorce. However, you can also obtain separation judgment on your own if your case is simple. Generally speaking, the legal separation has no specific time frame. Unlike divorce, however, on average, you can get the final separation judgment in days and weeks. If you and your spouse agree on separation terms, the legal separation is faster because there is neither a mandatory waiting period of 6 months nor any residential requirements. Parameters for this would include case complexities, cooperation between separating partners, attorneys' experience and expertise in handling situations that fall within this parameter, and court schedules and workloads. Legal separation is a legal process and an emotional one. You can make a lot of mistakes just because you're like stressed out throughout the process. Do your best to be educated on the legal separation process and do your best to also communicate well with your spouse. Avoid dating or jumping into a new relationship. Avoid bad mouthing each other. That is a definite freaking no no throughout any step of the process. Let's see, is the other one added on here? Yeah, the other one's added on here also, so I'll literally leave that one for the final notion. Keep your children away from separation drama. Keep your children out of it. That is number one, endangering. Then a lot of situations where it gets physical, where you guys are getting like extremely freaking verbal, you guys are like bad mouthing each other, and it's getting super like heated. You're going to literally, there's a chance that you're going to mentally disrupt your child's freaking mindset. There is a chance that you can literally get your child involved within the midst of a freaking scuffle that is endangering the welfare of a minor, and there are just so many other added aspects that are not okay throughout that process. So keep your children out of any of the spousal freaking process and throughout their entire lives. It's like always no no, like definite skip that portion and be cordial with each other. Work with them to create a guided plan and to still be each other's like support systems throughout the process. That way, while doing so, you can ensure that you each are getting a fair breakdown throughout the process. Don't make any significant changes to your finances or property. So don't go on a shopping spree. Don't go, my partner's finally gone, I'm gonna go buy a freaking new house or a new freaking car, because in doing so, you still aren't legally divorced and you are still showing that you have assets that should be seized and separated between you and your partner. So be mindful throughout the process. I'm not saying literally, have like a freaking offshore account. And I'm not saying, avoid like freaking buying yourself any freaking necessary essentials, but don't be the person to literally splurge in the midst of this and then literally realize that it's reflecting badly upon you. And then in covering that aspect, literally after the next one, that it's like the one that we all know that ties into literally not dotting your I's or crossing your T's. Avoid sharing your separation details with your family and friends. So keep what is going on within your relationship and the divorce proceedings between you adding in the added aspect of like informing your family members always can lead to it being messy. You would probably think to yourself, you know, I can tell my sister about this and it'll be great. She'll be like my major support system. But your sister has grown to be very close with your partner. You're telling your sister about very crucial details within the divorce proceedings, and she is reporting back to your ex partner and telling them of aspects that he wasn't aware of, that she's like literally just like, you know, she told me about this and it's like weighing heavily on my soul, and now in doing so it's something that has tampered with the freaking sense of solidarity throughout the case. That is something that is kept between you and your lawyer. That is your basis for your standard of your protectorates, how you truly feel, and in sharing that information it can yuck up the entire freaking thing. So you always have to be mindful that even though they are your family and they are your friends, this is confidential information that should be kept between you and your lawyer. Don't air your separation grievances, and this one is the one. This one is the one, you guys, that we always talk about, that we always see in movies and TV shows, or that we know people that are going through, and we're like, I will throw something at you. Don't bring me into any of this. Don't air your separation grievances on social media platforms. That is the biggest no-no in history. The second that you start doing that is the second that you prepare yourself to lose the freaking case and to lose everything that you were literally fighting for. And in cases where it's the divorce, you were literally going to go from anything that you would have been entitled to, that everybody has been fighting for you to get, to literally you being lucky to have the freaking bare minimum that will be granted towards you. Like, you literally have to literally look back at the judge and say, thank you so freaking much for providing me with the freaking bare minimum, as you freaking have like set to freaking do so from the beginning, because I literally could have freaking walked out of this relationship with freaking everything that I require to literally live a freaking stable life, and now I'm literally walking out of it with the freaking half of everything, and wishing that I literally would have stuck with the original freaking verdict to make sure that I had more than enough to freaking just barely get by. So be mindful, guys, and don't tarnish your case before don't tarnish your case ever. Don't bring everybody into it. Don't add it onto social media. Don't tell your family and friends and bring them into it. Focus upon your case, focus upon your own mental well being, and handle the case at hand, because that is something that is essential for you. And in the long run, you will realize it will be essential for your mental psyche also. Final section, and is the final 50-minute point. So let's try to get this done in like less than 55 minutes. And I'll breeze through this final paragraph and see if there are any snippets that I must go into before concluding the video. You can file for legal separation in the family court without having an attorney on your side. If you are looking to mediate your divorce, or want a DIY do-it-yourself divorce without going to court, then you can click on some of the links that were provided on the sites too. You can follow okay, so you can download the forms to actually do so and start the process. They'll provide you with some of the best affordable ways. You can also like Google them online and then literally find the best ways to do a DIY divorce proceeding without a court. You can download the legal separation forms from the California court's website, or obtain the forms from the county clerk's office. And checkmark the separation box. Mark the legal form accurately, following the court instructions written on the form. File the forms to the court clerk's office. Serve the legal separation paperwork to your spouse. Okay, this is very crucial. You have to serve them to your spouse. Make sure that they are aware throughout the process. Wait for the response. The response is set as stated before. They have up to 30 days to respond, and if not, the response will be noted as default. And then this will be our final notion, and this will cover legal separations. The following are the disadvantages of a legal separation. You cannot marry if you are legally separated, as most are. You're kind of like hearing that one, like, well, everybody knows that, but then, imagine legally separated from my spouse. You get so comfortable with being legally separated from your spouse that you almost forget that you're still freaking married, and that you fall in love with this freaking guy, and you're like, maybe I'll freaking go back to my partner, or I'm kind of just like, I've been over it for a long time. It's been messy. We never freaking really fell back into love. Or it's like, I'm kind of like on the fence about it, but I really want to jump into this new freaking like love story. I really want this to be that aspect of that story that really fits what I want, and it's more geared towards that. And then in doing so, you kind of have to remember, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to finish with the freaking divorce proceedings, because the legal separation point was literally just a like holding point. Like literally, you have to eventually follow through with the proceedings. To marry, you have to obtain a divorce judgment first. Legal separation can prove costly and may require additional fees and paperwork if you decide to divorce later on. As stated before, with restarting the process, you must pay the initial fees and start the entire process over again. So you literally have to either rehire your lawyer, find a new attorney, pay for all the filing fees all over again, fill out all the paperwork all over again, inform your partner all over again, and go through the entire process all over again. So be mindful while going through each of these steps, guys. And I wish you each the best of luck and your futures. If you are with a partner and you are watching this video and you are like, I'm glad to be more in the know of these aspects, and I am now able to relate to people that I know that are going through these situations and to provide insight, then I am so glad that you were able to tune in. To anybody going through this that has watched through the video and gained a bunch of insight pertaining towards dissolution, separations, and the aspects such as, grounds for divorce while moving forward into these procedures, and I've learned to kind of understand the importance of every aspect throughout the step of a divorce, dissolution, or legal separation. I am so happy that you've also been able to tune in also. And I wish each of you the best of luck in your love lives and in just having your freaking dream lives come to fruition. And if there is something that is that snag in that point, if your freaking future aspiration of your dream life is still like causing that snag within that portion of your life that you truly choose to follow through, don't let it freaking stop you. Follow through. Remember to protect your own mental well-being. Seek counsel through attorneys. Seek guidance and an open ear through advocates and people that can assist that are on platforms such as BetterHelp. If you ever need any legal consultation, advising, information, if you ever want me to do some research for you and cover a topic in a video, or if you literally just need to book me for a sit down, you can always go through our DKH Legal Aid's website and book me for a consultation, and I will be able to help you, assist you, and we can literally do like a one-on-one literal chat. And just know that we're always here for you, and that we're all rooting for each other, for the best for each other. We're not rooting for the worst of each other. We're not rooting for any of the shenanigans, but we are definitely rooting for everybody to literally enjoy our single life that we get to live. And as stated before, go check out our socials. Our Instagram account is DKH Legal Aid. Our X account is DKH Legal Aid. Our TikTok account is dkh.legalaid, and we will be bringing you guys plenty more videos, so be sure to freaking add any updates on any topics that you may want me to cover. I have a long, extensive list, so we are set for a full freaking lineup that will probably freaking be added towards, I would say, probably by the end of the week, I'll probably have like 10 more topics, so we're set for a decent bit on topics to cover. And I will never get bored of this. As you guys know, I love the freaking law. I love being a business owner of a clothing brand. I love being a business owner of a legal consultations, educational. I've worked as an educator for nearly 4 years now, so I love that added aspect also. And there are just so many great things that I literally just love bringing to you guys, and I love being able to work with you guys. So if there are any freaking aspects that you guys want me to touch base upon, send over some updates, and I'll be sure to literally work on this for you guys. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.